Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by two of your usual hosts here, Josh Harley and Tom Mannering. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm grand, thank you. I'm grand. We are recording at Chez Tom. Fun fact about Chez Tom, his neighbour smokes an excessive amount of weed.
You're a grass.
I'm not a grass. The police aren't listening to this. Besides, they don't know where you live.
That's true. And they
As
never
far-
will.
As far as you know. So, we've been... we have a main topic.
We do.
Conversation tonight, and that is, as I hinted in last week's episode, what's been going on in our Pathfinder campaign that
Yes.
Tom runs.
I do.
But before that, we've been playing a bit more of Marvel Champions.
You have?
How are you finding it so far?
I like it. I've been a proponent of it since it came out and before. And I quite enjoy it. I think it's getting better with the more expansions that are coming out. It's kind of finding its feet a wee bit.
Yeah.
So I picked up most recently the Wrecking Crew expansion, which is what myself and you played tonight.
Yeah, and so previously, what I've been saying about it is it's a good game. Aesthetically, it looks great, very comic book. But the way it plays is a bit too similar to Arkham Horror. To the point where I couldn't genuinely recommend it over Arkham Horror, the card game. I would just say if you've already got that, you don't need Marvel Champions. But this expansion actually felt significantly different. So the Wrecking Crew, I had no idea who the Wrecking Crew were until you showed me. So who are the Wrecking Crew?
The Wrecking Crew are a group of thugs in the Marvel Universe that become empowered through one of them obtaining a magical crowbar.
Yep. This is this Golden Age? Is it Golden Age, which is like the 1940s?
I think it's Gold and Silver Age. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, this is Golden Age of comic books design. Found a magic crowbar. How disappointing to find your weapon of choice is a magic crowbar, not a magic sword.
I'm not sure if they... I could be wrong. I don't think they find a magic crowbar. I think, and I'm not 100% on this, but I think it might be Loki that actually makes the crowbar magical. Right, I mean, that's not better.
Well, points off Loki for like going, okay, this really mundane thing. That's like giving someone a magical claw hammer, or
that's pretty brutal.
A magical vacuum cleaner.
Right, but if you had a choice between a magical mundane item or just a mundane item, what are you going to choose?
Well, I mean, it depends on what the mundane item is. I don't think it's too bold of me to say that, you know, a regular AK-47 machine gun is going to trump any magical crowbar.
Well, it depends how magical your crowbar is.
Does it eat bullets?
I don't think so.
Then I think the AK-47 wins.
But it makes them pretty durable, so you know.
Right.
You never know. You never know.
Okay. But yeah, so the Wrecking Crew in name are...
They are the Wrecker,
Thunderball,
Pile Driver, who you were very disparaging about, and the one that we killed straight away. Bulldozer?
Definitely not Juggernaut.
No, he's
definitely not Juggernaut is how I thought of him.
Yeah, I think it's Bulldozer is the last one.
The thing about Pile Driver and the reason why I was like really disparaging, apparently his superpower is that he's got big hands. But when you look at the art, they're not even that big. Like, I've met farmers with bigger hands than him. So it's like, what are you doing here? You're just wearing a weird The other thing that I pointed out was, so this scenario is a jailbreak scenario, right? The Wrecking Crew have started a prison riot and they're trying to break out of the prison, and we're there to stop them, basically. But rather than being in, like, convicts clothes, they're all dressed in like their spandex.
Yeah, they've got a brand to maintain.
Yeah, but like in prison, why are they allowed? Like, no one else gets to wear their own clothes in prison. You're like,
true.
Right to the parole board, and we're like, I think this will really help me rehabilitate myself back into society if I wear the outfit that I committed all these crimes in.
I think it's a thing as well. I liked it about Silver Age that you've got these kind of tough nut criminals wearing these elaborate bright spandex outfits.
Yeah, that's true.
How can I strike fear into the goody two shoes of New York? A purple spandex outfit.
I tell you what, right? Now hear me out. If a psycho went loose in Glasgow and they were wearing spandex, I think that would genuinely freak me out a bit more.
But not for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that guy's unhinged. That guy is mental.
Yeah, it's a weird one. They don't do it so much nowadays. They've gone for a bit more of a modern,
more sort of realistic, touch
grim take on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was a good scenario. I think you said it played the most differently.
It's definitely the one I've enjoyed the most, and the one my knowledge of the Arkham Horror Living card game is not comprehensive, but this is the scenario that felt the most different to it and like quite uniquely superheroes.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it for that. Where I was playing Spider-Man and you were playing Tony Stark, much like our dynamic in real life.
Yeah,
I felt
the mentor and the apprentice.
So no, it was fun. It was fun.
Good.
I'm looking forward to playing it more and seeing some of the more expansions, and maybe we'll do a proper review of it at some point.
Yeah, I think so. I've got the Green Goblin expansion. I still want to give that a shout. We've got Thor coming up, which I know you'll be.
Oh, give me some Thor, yeah.
Try a bit of Thor action. And Doctor Strange as well, who I really want to have a go with. He's the first hero who has his own kind of complete mechanic where he has another deck. So he has 2 decks. He has his deck and then he has his spell deck. So
that's neat.
deck. Yeah.
That's neat.
So that's cool.
That's cool. So nothing much that I particularly wanted to talk about news-wise. I don't know if there's anything that's caught your eye in the world of board games.
Not really, not since I was last on.
No, and really, I haven't done an awful lot of gaming. What I've been doing this week, my good deed for this week is helping Barry upload his vast collection of old Warhammer minis. That he needs to get rid of.
Yeah, you're doing eBay sales, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, right? Like, he needs. I think he needs help with it anyway because he's got a lot.
It's a monumental task.
It is massive, and he needs someone who actually knows Warhammer figures because if you haven't played Warhammer and you give all these like photos of minis to someone to upload to eBay. Like, what am I looking at here?
I just like the idea of descriptions of Skeleton Man 1. Skeleton Man with pointy hat.
Animal Man, think it's a mouse. Right. So no, we've done a fair dent into it. We've uploaded 64 individual listings so far. A lot of the old Tomb Kings and Skaven. It's all metal models as well. Yeah. Mind when Games Workshop used to do that.
I still have a lot of
same. And some of my favourite minis are like the old metal. So I'm pretty sure like back when they did lead-based minis.
Yeah.
Which is like late 80s, early 90s.
And then white metal came after that.
Yeah, I remember white metal becoming a thing. It's weird. But I did tell Barry that I was going to slag him in the episode today.
And you're doing it.
I'm kind of feeling bad about trying to make fun of him.
See, that's why I'm the mentor and you're the apprentice.
Yeah, okay, alright. You're going to beat that guilt out of me.
I think it's quite good to have a bit of a clear out of minis. I did it myself not that long ago. I told you about the Space Marines, didn't I, when I tried to sell my Space Marines stuff?
Yeah.
And I got told, we're not buying these because people only want Primaris Marines now, which I didn't realise was such a big deal.
Well, evidently so. And I suppose this is the thing. So apparently, I don't know where we are right now with the sales. But on Tuesday night, Barry was saying he'd sold £107 worth.
Something like that, yeah.
So that was like off the first night alone. So that's pretty good. But it all depends on if people want what you, as redundant as it sounds, if people want what you are selling.
Yeah, it's the demand for the supply, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think the good thing is Tomb Kings, because they've been out of production for so long. People really like them. I have no idea why they haven't really resurrected them.
Was that your attempt at a pun?
Don't you dare call that an attempt. That's a proper pun.
That was terrible.
Yeah, but puns are meant to be terrible.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I really liked the Tomb Kings, actually. Weirdly enough, when I did my army for Warhammer, towards the tail end of the last edition of Warhammer, I was tossing between Tomb Kings and Dwarves. And I was like, oh, I really like Tomb Kings, but I'm going to go Dwarves. And then Tomb Kings got discontinued. And I was like, well, dodged a bullet there.
Ooh. Yeah, but I mean, like, from a collector's point of view, they are nice minis. Like, and a lot of them are like that sort of retro, old school design of Games Workshop stuff. Like skeletons whose bones are way too big to fit in like an actual person. Yeah,
if you put flesh and like hair and things over them, they would be comically bulky.
So
maybe that's it though. Maybe the people from Tomb King's land were actually these, ridiculously hench, muscular individuals.
Or obese.
Obese.
No,
maybe that's how they died. There was an obesity crisis.
Okay. So in years to come, America's going to be like the new Tomb Kings.
Yeah.
Is it Kenry?
Kenry, yeah. Yeah, you have like a sort of skeletal Trump with like a big pharaonic hat.
Wait, well, is Trump Nagash in this scenario?
Is Nagash not separate to the Tomb Kings though?
No, Nagash was part of the lore, wasn't he?
Was he? I don't know.
He was the OG one.
I thought he peed a lot of them off. And...
Yeah, they don't like him.
Right, okay.
It's because of him that they're all undead and like in eternal service.
So you think Trump's caused the Americans to become undead?
We're getting too deep into this.
I mean, in some ways, that's...
I did not think this through. Our 2% of Republican listeners are probably dwindling now. So
they made it this far.
Yeah, God bless them. So yeah, if you're on eBay, you'll probably see some of Barry's stuff if you're looking for old Warhammer.
It's saturated with Barry's stuff.
Yeah, he's just flooded the market. I had to upload... Do you remember they did Chaos Trolls?
They are old.
Yeah. I've uploaded 18 of them.
Wow.
We've flooded the market. We've Saudi Arabian the Chaos Troll market on eBay now.
And there goes our 2% of Saudi Arabian listeners.
That's not an insult. That's what Saudi do with oil. That's just their MO.
Sure, why not?
So, buy Barry's stuff. It's great.
Buy our shit.
Next topic.
So, oh god, I'm dying. So,
you're not dying. You're just getting older.
Well, yeah, in a way. Anyway, so
Pathfinder. So I hinted at what's happened. So I don't know. Do you want to deliver the news or?
I'll set it up. I'll
set it up.
So the campaign, you haven't done an update for us. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but in the long and short, the group had recently returned home to their town of Landros, their fledgling kingdom, as it is, having been gone for a little while, the better part of a month.
Leave for 1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
And casting back to Halloween of last year, I ran a sort of one-shot.
I did cover that off in the podcast.
Yes.
It was really good.
Where you played as the villagers and the sort of other residents of the town, and things went to pot.
Yes.
Would be a fairly understated description.
A mythical level creature and her army, well, not even army, like her gang?
Undead task force.
Yeah. There we go. That sounds less rubbish.
Descended onto Landros and took over it. So when your heroes returned, fresh from another near cataclysmic event that destroyed the free city to the north.
Yep.
You found your home not so welcoming.
No.
It was overtaken by drow and their undead minions. The people were in hiding, and you sort of arrived scattered as well. You all came at different times because of what had happened previously.
Yes.
So Orlan was one of the, probably about the middle he turned up, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, a Deus Ex Machina stopped me from going right into trouble.
Yeah. You met a few of your allies who had kind of become aware of what was going on in the town and had come to sort of see what was happening, if not help. And you ventured in to, eventually after regrouping, to vanquish the foe. I'll let you tell the
However,
rest.
in the fight that ensued, not only did... my character, Orlan, has a direwolf as an animal companion. And one of the hostages taken was his cousin Sten. So not only did Sten die in a spell that was cast that affected quite a few of the group, not only did Blizzard get killed by an evil sorcerer, that Orlan got overkilled, I think is a fair description as to what happened to Orlan. He got destroyed was the spell.
It was destruction, yeah. Sten got killed by Unholy Blight, Blizzard got killed by Phantasmal Killer, and Orlan got destructioned.
Yeah.
Pretty much back to back.
Yeah, just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So the NPC that I had grounding with, my animal companion, and then the character that I play myself. And, really beyond any sort of repair as well. The way you described it, my guy was just ash.
Yeah, he pretty much exploded.
Yeah.
Very much sort of Infinity War, which you haven't seen. Infinity War ashes.
I'll rectify that.
Ashes in the wind. Yeah. It was brutal.
It was. I thought it'd be an interesting topic of conversation dealing with death in an RPG. And so I think any of our listeners who are maybe more board gamey and that they haven't really tried D&D or Pathfinder or any of the other RPGs might not really... that might sound ridiculous to talk about it. However, I think most people actually get it. I mean, when I've been talking to people about what's happened, and bear in mind, I've played Orlan now for 2 years.
The better part of.
Yeah. And most people, even people who don't really play RPGs at all, just go, "Oh God, are you all right?" It's like watching. It's like watching your favorite TV show and your favorite character gets killed off, but worse because. I don't know, you spend so much effort into building this little guy and all of his backstory and everything. The one thing I will say, and I think some players might get caught up in this, is that death is not defeat, if that makes sense. For me, being part of an RPG campaign isn't about necessarily beating the bad guy. It's about creating a compelling story. And I think I got a nice story arc out of Orlan, and he went out in a really cool fight. Before getting killed, he absolutely obliterated the sorcerer that killed his wolf.
He did, and he also took out the gigantic fiendish spider as well.
Tom actually got me to stop rolling dice because he just said, "Okay, he's really dead now."
He cannot get any more dead at this point.
So I took a bit of I took some comfort in that. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling.
I think, as you said, the way I always try and look at it, I mean, I'm not really put in a position where I have to deal with one of my characters dying very often, though it has happened occasionally, but for me, a character dying is pretty commonplace because I play all the things you kill.
Because Tom is bloody merciless as a GM.
No,
that's not true.
I I would never consider myself a killer GM. I think I let the dice land as they may, and certainly if a death is going to be cinematic, as it is in this situation, because it was at the end of an arc, not just for the campaign, but also potentially for the character.
Yeah.
I think you've just got to let the dice lie. And I think if you, as you said, if you watch any good TV show, any good film, any good book where combat or threat is a part of it, even like Little Women has death in it, for God's sake.
That's another film I've never watched or book I've never read, so I've no idea what. Do you want to? Should we do a separate podcast on you reading Little Women today?
I have to do all the voices of all the characters.
I want to hear it.
Well.
Let's do it right now. Let's do it. Let's get your copy of Little Women. I know you've got a copy.
And then Kate said, "Marie, you must go." I don't know the characters in Little Women.
Okay.
But yeah, in any sort of work of fiction, and a lot of real life stories as well, people die dramatically, and I think if you take that away, not only do you remove the threat, but you remove the excitement of it. And yeah, it's unfortunate to have a character die, but as you say, if you take a step back from it and look at it in the narrative overall, it's a really cool touchstone.
Yeah.
And Orlan, he didn't die to some goblin in a field. He got to go out against the big boss of that story arc. He got to sort of go out alongside all his friends, and it was a big sort of climactic fight. And I think as one thing we discussed is when you played Ellard, you knew from the word go that Ellard had...
Yeah, Ellard had an expiration date on him, and we didn't quite get to that point. So in a way, it was a little bit disappointing. Mm-hmm. But this death was different.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning for it.
No.
And... it didn't come out of the blue. I think we all went into that combat thinking some of us might die.
Yeah, I think I spoke to Scott about it a couple of days beforehand, and I said, I've built this combat. I know what you're going up against. I know what you're going in with, because you weren't at full power by any stretch of the imagination. Lots of you had negative levels. Scott didn't have his equipment because he'd been previously captured by the Drow and rescued. And I said to Scott, I will be very surprised if everybody walks away from this.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. Which is fine.
Should we take a moment to... Should we take a moment to acknowledge that Bowser's character died as well?
Well, technically, we know Bowser's character is going to die because we did a bit of an epilogue. But
he's dead right now.
No, he
strictly speaking.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's a separate issue. So Bowser's character also got Phantasmal killed in the initial encounter with the Drow, which Orlan wasn't present for. Mm-hmm. But Bowers had, over his career, his character Griff, who's an Arcanist, had collected a number of artifacts of Vecna, the Whispered One, Lord of Undead.
Good guy.
And had drawn Vecna's gaze over the course of the campaign. So when he died, Vecna offered him the opportunity to come back as his undead servant, which Bowers struck Griff accepted, because why not? And came back as a sort of zombie lord, and rejoined the party for a brief stint to have his vengeance against the people that killed him, which he did get alongside you guys.
Yeah.
And he's now scheduled to die again, because
he's got it in the diary.
Yeah, he is plotted in our after session discussions that he will sacrifice his life to essentially call down a meteor and destroy
the free city, to destroy an undead army.
Yes. Which you guys were also partially responsible for.
We were not responsible for it. We weren't able to stop it. No, we were able to stop it. We just didn't look into things enough.
You were given several clues that there was something unholy coming, and you went, it's not our problem.
Yeah.
And it turned out it was
an
problem.
Apocalypse.
Yeah. But he's given his life to empower the meteor and destroy that. So 2 characters from the campaign down.
So now, of course, it means we're building new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! I'm going out of my comfort zone.
What are you going?
I'm going class called Psychic, which is basically a full spellcasting class. I never play spellcasters. Even to the point where Rangers are supposed to be spellcasters, but I deliberately made sure that Orlan wasn't. So...
Well, your first character, you played a bard in the first campaign we ever did.
Yes, which is kind of spellcasting, but
Yeah.
I always view bards as being... They're definite support... I view them as support class.
Yeah, I mean, you focused, with Julian, you focused a lot more on swordplay and inspiration, sort of. Inspiring words.
My thing with and outside combat as well. He was pretty decent at communicating.
Yeah.
So, it's been fun trying to build him. I haven't finished him yet. We had a little meeting yesterday to get started on it. So I've got a little bit of homework to do before the next session.
I sort of sent you away and said you need to select these, and you need to select these, and you need to select these, and come back when it's done.
And to be fair, like at the best of times, I'm not a power gamer. I do not. I wouldn't know where to begin with trying to min max a build, nor would I want to put in the effort to do it. The way I'm thinking about it with like the spells I select for him. I know that as a psychic, his thing is going to be like scrying and clairvoyance, right? Seeing the past, the present, the future. So any spell that lets him do that sort of thing, I'm going to make a preference for. Other than that, I'll pick useful spells. There's no way I'm not picking haste, because in combat that's just great. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to trying out something completely different to what I'm used to. What I wanted to ask, have you, as a GM, have you ever had to deal with a player who's completely spat the dummy at dying?
Yes.
Right. How do you deal with it as a GM?
So I actually want to preface this with something. Not only have I had to deal with that player, I've been that player.
Okay, right.
It's, especially when I was younger, I saw it a lot more, both in myself and in my friends. You didn't have quite the same appreciation for narrative and all that kind of things. And it's very easy to take it personally. When I ran PFS, I killed quite a few characters, several of people and I would say that generally if you have a good rapport with the player and the death is justified, the player should take it well, and often will. But that being said, I've had people shout, stomp their feet, rip up their character sheets.
Oh, you've told me about the ripping up of the character sheets.
Yep. He was promptly advised he can be raised, by the way, and we sat and watched him sellotape it back together. I'm not sure if that was me GMing that, though, but I definitely saw that. I've had people get quite abusive about it when I was a bit younger.
I can't... don't get me wrong. I was gutted. Yeah. I was gutted when, so a character I've played for 2 years, nearly 2 years, dies.
You almost shed a tear.
Maybe. But I would never... I can't fathom how you would be that upset, so upset about it, that you would be abusive to the... to someone who's probably your friend.
Yeah.
I appreciate Pathfinder Society is a little different. But...
I think, for me, if I've ever got like that, certainly when I was younger, I think it comes from feeling wronged. I think it can be that you feel the GM targeted you specifically, or you feel that a rule was abused or done incorrectly. I think it often stems from something like that.
Right. Okay.
There's a couple of reasons why I can see why people might feel like it. I certainly don't think they should feel like it.
No.
But there are reasons why I could take a step back and say, okay, that's why that person might feel that way. I think it's difficult sometimes because you do get very invested in that character, especially if you've spent a lot of time with them as a player. You've got very invested in their backstory and everything they've done. You know, you've maybe even got plans for them in the future, and you see all that kind of cut short before your eyes. And I mean, especially in Orlan's case, the odds of him coming back are fairly slim. He would have had to have very powerful magics to bring him back to life.
Yeah.
Which the party don't have access to at this point in time, and they would struggle to find people who
not
did.
let alone in level, but just in the fluff of the story as well. We are in the wilderness. Like the one place we might have found it, we're about to land a giant meteor on.
Yeah.
So
I think people can come from it from that point of view where it becomes almost a personal attack, and then they lash out because that's what people do when they feel personally attacked. I understand it. I don't accept it. I don't feel it's the right way to act, and I think in this day and age, if somebody did that, and people have done it to me in the past few years, I would probably have a quiet word with them and say, look, I understand how you feel. It's a very emotional time. By way of example, actually, on a large scale, not myself, but I'm a big fan of Critical Role, as has been told. And during Campaign 2, quite early on, one of the characters, Molly Mock, died. And as much as a lot of people took it for what it was, as a strong narrative moment, there was a very, very small portion of the community who did lash out online. And it's not even their character.
That's ridiculous.
Sort
yourself out, internet.
They were so invested and so attached to that character that they felt a personal loss, and they blamed the GM or other factors. So, I mean, if you think about it, someone could feel that way about it. Imagine how you might feel about it yourself. So, yeah, I don't think it's acceptable, and I don't condone it, but I can see why it happens.
I certainly, like, with Orlan, I didn't feel cheated. I think it was at that stage when she turned her attention to me, I think it was fair enough. Because you just my wolf had just done a number on her, and she'd just seen me like one shot a sorcerer as well.
Well, what had happened was she'd scryed on you all as a group several times, and she'd got your tactics down, and she knew how deadly you were at range with your bow. So when you went in there, she had a spell called Fickled Winds that
I was useless.
Yeah, it stopped your arrows getting to them, and the rest of the party had kind of twigged that and was starting to try and dispel it. So she immediately knew that she had to neutralise you before she got pincushioned.
Tell you what, if they'd got that dispel off, because
I
was before her in initiative, wasn't I? So
yeah,
she would have been dead.
Yeah, she might not have walked away from it. But that's the way it goes sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
The spell holds and you get blown up.
Yeah. Have you ever lied about the dice in favour of a player?
Yes, so many times.
Right.
Like there are instances where I have rolled several criticals against one player in a row. And I'm like, this is mean.
This is unfair. I feel awful.
I try not to do it as much as possible. I would rather play it as it lands. But if a player is having a very bad run of luck, or if I'm having a just sickening streak of good luck, I will probably mute my attack slightly. I might forget an ability. I might just knock a 20 down to a 19 to avoid it being a crit. I probably will never change a critical into a miss and things like that. I try and do it reasonably. I don't do it often. Critical moments tends to be the only time, and equally I've fudged against players as well. So I've had it if they go into a room and they cast a spell on the boss that will kill it straight away, I might go actually passes that save. Again,
noted.
very well. Actually, with you guys, I roll my dice out in the open.
That's true, actually.
So you don't.
Not that I understand what it means.
Yeah. So you don't even really get the benefit of that. With the two campaigns I'm running at the moment, Age's End and Darkness Divides, I've done it very sparingly.
Yeah.
I can only think of 2 or 3 instances.
I suppose, kind of along those lines of, sparing the players. In much the same way that players shouldn't see death as defeat, I don't think a good GM should see death as a victory.
No,
Like,
definitely.
you're not against the player.
No, I think the player versus GM mindset is very dangerous on both sides of the table. I think that is one of the things that births Munchkin characters. It's players who think I have to be the best, I have to win, I have to be able to deal with what the GM throws at me.
Yeah.
Because you will get these GMs who do ramp it up to 11 and they're always putting the most difficult encounters against their players. You know, the players are always kind of backed into a corner and fighting for their lives. I don't like to do that. I like to put encounters in sometimes that I know the second I'm writing it up, you guys will steamroller across it. But it's because I want you to have that moment where you feel heroic without having to make what I call cheese wheelie characters.
Like, I think it becomes, if the player versus GM mentality takes hold, it becomes a very dangerous arms race. And maybe that is your idea of fun, but it's not just you and the GM, there's usually other players there. So
the issue I have with it, though, is it's an arms race that you as a player will never win.
Yeah. The GM has infinite resources.
Yeah. You know, the GM can turn around. You can go, I'm level 1. I've made this absolutely ridiculous barbarian who has 6 attacks at level 1. And I've seen things not too dissimilar to that.
Wow.
And go, look at how ferocious I am. And I can go, okay, here's a CR 20, that being a level 20 threat.
Yeah.
Dragon, let's see what your attacks do to that. You know, if we want to play that game, it's not really a game because the odds are always stacked against you. You should be, I don't want to tell anyone how to have fun, you know, I don't want to say you're doing bad fun wrong, but at the same time, you should be looking more about building an interesting character that is certainly competent, you know.
There's no joy in playing a crap character.
Well, to a point, yes there is, but I think in a game, especially like D&D, it's not a good idea.
No.
Because the game assumes you will be a competent character, and while your GM can factor that and go, okay, my party's a bit pants, so I'll just take the encounters down a notch. It's not necessarily something they should be doing.
I'd say what is better than just making a crap character deliberately. Let's assume you're doing it deliberately. Make a competent character, but have a dump stat and really lean into it from an RP point of view, because that's what I did with Julian, my bard. His dump stat was wisdom. He was quite an intelligent guy, but had no common sense. And that's really fun to play.
I don't even think you need to do a dump stat, although that's one way to go with it. I think you can just give your character a flaw.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy when you build a character to be like, I want to be this grim, dark, brooding badass who's just cutting through goblins willy-nilly, and he sits and broods in the corner, and that's his flaw. And that's not a flaw. That's just a crappy archetype.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We've all done that. I did it when I was a teenager.
We're all young once.
Yeah. But I think to have a good character, a good competent character who has a flaw, who has a phobia, a fear, a dependent, you know, something like that, something that adds an extra level to them, it gives them more dimensions as a character. I think when you build a competent character who streams very much in one direction, you know, I'm the best wizard in the land and whatever, you sort of become a bit one-dimensional, a bit Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Whereas if you start to give them flaws and things they're scared of, things they can't do, things they're nervous about doing, they become more rounded. And you don't necessarily need stats, you don't need drawbacks to do that. You just can go, this is something my character has going on for them. And most of you guys have some variant of that built into your characters by way of your backgrounds and things.
Yeah.
You know, Orlan was always quite naive, especially early in the campaign.
Was that Orlan?
Oh, was that Josh? Yeah, well, that's true. That's art imitating life. But
same thing with Julian, I guess. But yeah. Anyway.
And I think that's a good thing to play up and embrace.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm certainly looking for... I haven't named my guy yet. I need to come up with a name for him.
You've got a bit of time.
Yeah, I've got a bit of time. But I'm looking forward to trying him out. Getting out of my comfort zone. And, you know, sinking my teeth into something new and just keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't die in like a couple of sessions.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I certainly hope so. Psychics are an interesting one because they're one of the later classes for Pathfinder.
I found it quite... And I'm not the best at building characters. I usually need a little bit of help. But I found it quite tricky because really you're trying to max out 2 two of your mental stats. Where normally most classes you're really strong in one thing, and then everything else kind of falls into place.
You should try playing a paladin.
Or what do paladins need?
So paladins they're martial characters, so they're going to need some sort of physical stat. You're probably going to be frontline, so you're going to need constitution. So you're probably going to need strength or dex, constitution. You've then got your spells, which I believe are based on wisdom, and your paladin abilities, which are based on charisma.
Oh my god! Right, okay. Yep. Does anyone play paladin?
I've not seen a paladin for a while.
Now that you mention it,
they are really good in Pathfinder.
Right.
If you can get one together, Aasimar paladins are quite common because the Aasimar buffs, Aasimar's being partly angelic creatures.
Yeah.
They are quite well suited to paladins. But yeah, I think they are quite demanding. I think because there's the restriction of them that they have to be kind of the Captain America sort of knight in shining armor. Some people are a bit reluctant to.
Well, yeah, I think it would be quite easy to make a lazy character out of a paladin.
You can be very one dimensional with a paladin.
Yeah, just
definitely.
Haha, I am good all the time.
Yeah, I'm super good. I am lawful good douchebag because I'm just going to be lawful and good to the point that it's exhausting.
Yeah. So look, that's what we've been up to. That's death of an RPG character. Orlan Goodseller.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
To be fair, right, just to quickly close up, you did get.
I got one last moment.
A little moment where Scott's character Tharix, God, brought you back from sort of beyond the veil to say your goodbyes. So you got.
I got a little bit of closure.
Which was
very nice.
Yeah.
You never normally get that with the dead character.
But you earned it, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh.
Go.
Anyway, on that note, guys, look, thanks very much for listening. So until if you've been affected by any of the issues discussed in the podcast,
we're gonna have to set up so many helplines at this point.
But look, seriously, thanks for listening, and until next time, take care. Bye.